In today's video, you're going to see me use a product that I have never used before on this channel, and it's an alternative to Floetrol. Will it work? I wonder what the results will be. How will it compare to the three most popular pouring additives out there? Well, get ready, my friends. We're about to find out together. Are you interested in becoming more proficient in acrylic pouring? Send me an email, artbytammy@yahoo.com, if you're located in Connecticut or Jacksonville, Florida area. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another video. So today I'm about to try something that I've never tried before. I've never even heard it before. And I've been told it's an alternative to Floetrol. A viewer of mine sent me this little tip, and so I thought I would give it a try and see how it performs. Now, that viewer's name is MJ's Creative Designs on Instagram. Be sure to check her out. And she wrote me. She said, Tammy, I have to buy my Floetrol on Amazon, and I'm now paying $32 a gallon for it. So I looked for something else. Found this by accident. I tried it, I used it, and it worked actually good. So I went and ordered a bottle. I have it here. It's called Paint Easy by Wagner. Paint Easy. It's a latex paint conditioner, just like Floetrol, just like these other versions of a Floetrol. We have the Australian version and the UK version. So she did find this, and it was $15 a bottle, but here's what I'm going to tell you. Now, I always do math when it comes to things like this, and if you're somebody that buys just 32 ounces of Floetrol, it's going to be maybe $1 or $2 cheaper than the actual Floetrol. 2 of these together would be $30. This gallon right here, which equals the same amount as 2 of these, is $32. So this is $2 more expensive. So not much, okay? But, I buy my Floetrol in Home Depot and pay $20 a gallon for it. So if you're forced to buy online, then, maybe you look into something like this. And another thing about this is it's very thin. It's like water, and therefore you're going to use less of it than you would Floetrol. But anyway, you guys know me. I love to experiment with different products, so we're going to try this one out today. But here's the kicker. I'm going to try this one out by itself, and then I'm going to try it out with not only Floetrol, because she also tried it combining the two for a pouring medium. I'm going to try it out with the Floetrol and the Australian Floetrol. So you're going to see this used 4 different ways. Most importantly, on its own, to see what it can do. So what I will do is I will set up. I'll show you how I mix the paints, and then we will get on to the art. So to mix the colors, and I'm just going to do one with you because all of the other ones will be mixed the same. And I really don't want to waste your time mixing a bunch of color. So what I'm going to do is just put some paint in the cup. Now, here's one thing you have to remember. Even like with the Australian Floetrol, if you need to make a cup full of paint, like you need a lot of blue, you're going to have to use more paint than you normally would with something like Floetrol, because just like with the Australian Floetrol, this one has no body. Even like when you thin paint with water, you have no body in this. So it's going to thin this paint really quickly. You're not going to have to use a lot of it, but you're not going to make a lot of paint either. So just keep that in mind. So I put in there, I don't know, about 2 tablespoons worth of paint. And then I'm slowly going to add a little tiny bit of this. So you can see it's very, very thin. So I will just mix it together and keep adding that product until the paint reaches the right consistency. What is the right consistency for the technique you're doing? Please check out the consistency chart video that is located in the description of this video. So it's flowing off the stick and leaving a small mound and disappearing. So for this first test, that is how I'm mixing all of the paints. I'm not using any water, just this stuff to thin it down. And I'm going to just do a very basic 3 or 4 colors. That's it. So even the white that I put on the canvas is going to be thinned with this, all right? So we'll test it by itself, see how it does, and then move on to some other testing. If you enjoy this video and find it helpful, please remember to subscribe on your way out. Okay, so here is test number 1 using just the Paint Easy product to thin down our paints, or my paints. So I have a few blues I mixed up, a very simple basic palette. I have a greenish blue from Amsterdam. Then I have Windsor Blue by Winsor Newton. I have Pepio Iridescent Green Blue. And then I have Deco Arts 24 Karat Gold, okay? My white is Artist Loft White. That's it. And I'm going to do a very, very basic blowout. Very simple. I'm going to coat the canvas in the white paint first. And again, these paints are only mixed with the Paint Easy product. No water, no Floetrol, no nothing else. So here we go. I'll just pour some of this white paint on the canvas, tilt it around until it's coated. Because I have so much testing to do in this video, I decided to speed up just some of these parts that you've seen me do many, many times before. I just coat the canvas in the white paint, tilt it around, and then cover my sides. Now I'm going to pop the bubbles before I put my color down. If you pop your bubbles before you put your colors down, it will also cut down on little white pin marks that you get in your paintings. Here's why. Let's say I don't pop the bubbles in this and I start putting my colors down first and then pop my bubbles. Where this blue paint lands on top of any white paint that has air bubbles, it's going to kind of shield it from those popping. And then during the drying process, they're going to pop. So put your base coat down, pop the bubbles, and then put your colored paint down and pop them again. So nothing crazy here or anything. I think I'm just going to kind of make a puddle just like this. And I'll put a little of this iridescent green blue. Getting it very interesting hazing around the white puddle. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's a sign of pearl cell creation, possibly. You can see there's very hazy around the puddle of paint. So now let's put down some of the Windsor blue. Some of the gold. And I know that seems like a lot of paint, but I'm going to blow it all over the place. Put a little more of this. All right, now we will pop the bubbles again. And let's get our blow dryer out. Actually, you know what? I'll even add a little white into this puddle too. All right, let's try to blow it out. I think what I'll do is push a little bit of the white over the puddle and then blow outwards. All right, so I apologize, first of all. The first half of this blowout is going to be blocked by my arm, but it's okay. It's just me blowing the paint straight up and off of the canvas. And let me just say this. I was not ready for the results that I was about to see with this Paint Easy product. The paints glided over the canvas very nicely, just like they would do with any other type of additive like American Floetrol or even pouring medium. They moved really, really well. They performed just like any other thin down acrylic pour paint, so that was a good thing. Now, there's going to be a very valuable learning lesson in all of this for you today, especially if you are a new pour artist. And I want you to stay tuned for part 2 to find out what that is. Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. Look at that. Look at those effects. Wow. That is pretty cool. I'm getting pearl cell. Look, I'm almost getting a bloom cell look. Look at this. That is pretty cool. Now that's a beautiful underwater painting. Very, very nice. Love it. Wow, I really, really like that a lot. All right, 4 hours later, it's done doing whatever it's going to do as far as developing and all of that. Who needs to go through using satin enamels and a pearl cell recipe and all this and that with this stuff, huh? I mean, look at this. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. That is really, 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 really pretty. So we'll let it dry and put a beautiful coat of KS resin on that, and it will be all done. So now let's move on to part 2 where we test out this product with the other Floetrols. First, I'm going to pour a glass of Paint Easy. Up next will be a glass of American Floetrol that I'm just straining through a strainer. Now I'll go ahead and add some of that Paint Easy to the American Floetrol cup. The third cup will be Australian Floetrol with a little bit of that Paint Easy mixed into it. Exact measurements are not necessary. I just fill up the cup halfway and put half of that amount of the Paint Easy into the cup. The fourth and final cup will be the UK version of Floetrol, which is Owatrol, with some Paint Easy added to it. Again, as long as you have some of these products in your paint, the exact amount is not necessary. I only put a whole bunch into the cups because I need to mix a lot of colors. If you're only mixing one color, you're going to use a lot less of the product. So I'm going to mix up 4 sets of colors. 6 colors for each of those big cups. 6 colors with the Paint Easy in them. 6 with the Floetrol and Paint Easy. 6 with the Australian Floetrol and Paint Easy. And 6 with the Owatrol and Paint Easy. When it comes to adding the pouring mediums to the paint, I just put about the same amount in the cup that I have for paint, mix them together, and then if I need water, I will add water. For the Paint Easy, I did not need water. However, for the American Floetrol Paint Easy recipe, as you see here, I did need water again because American Floetrol has some body to it, so it really doesn't thin down the paint enough. If you need a consistency help video, there is one in the description for you that will teach you all the different consistencies for all the different acrylic pours. So I'm just showing you how to mix one color out of each of the pouring mediums I made, but just know that I did mix up for each pouring medium all of these colors. So I have a Windsor blue, I have a Windsor ultramarine blue, I have two browns by Grumbacher that I combined to make a chocolate brown. I used carbon black by Golden, red black from Atelier, and 24 karat gold from Deco Art. My white was Amsterdam white acrylic. Here are all the colors separated by pouring medium. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test out each of these pouring mediums on this 4-piece triangular canvas set. I'm just paint brushing onto each one, which one is which. So the PE is the Paint Easy only recipe. The AU is the Australian Floetrol and Paint Easy recipe. The EU is the Oatrol and Paint Easy recipe. And the AM is the American Floetrol and Paint Easy recipe. And that will be the first one that we test out. Now, this test was very, very interesting. I assumed using that Paint Easy product along with American Floetrol, I would definitely get some cells out of it. It would just be an enhancer to the Floetrol that we always see cells with. But watch this. I decided to take that carbon black paint and pour a puddle of it in the center of the colors and kind of blow it out over the colors, thinking that carbon black paint always works great for a cell activator. And I did have American Floetrol and that Paint Easy mixed into the paints, but to my surprise, I got nothing. Some cells did develop afterwards, and you will see them, but nothing like I expected them to be. And I'm going to tell you why that is as soon as we're done with all the testing here. So I blew out this paint, made sure there were no deep puddles of paint left on the canvas, and then moved on to the next test, which was the UK version of a Floetrol, which is Oatrol mixed with the Paint Easy. I loaded all the colors onto the canvas the same exact way and blew them out the same exact way. I wanted to skip some of these parts for you, so that's why I'm just kind of, it's the same thing over and over again. So I didn't want to bore you with adding all the color to each canvas in the same exact way. It's just like, how many times can you watch that? My God. Anyway, look at this. Nothing. What is going on here? Now, Australian Floetrol, liquid gold, there's got to be something that comes out of this one. So here we go. Paint Easy and Australian Floetrol mixed together. I blew them out, and finally I started getting some lacing and cells. Now, it's very hard to see on camera right now, but you will see it in the final results after I get done with this experiment. So this one did work good. Thank goodness. But we expect that out of the Australian Floetrol. It's no secret. And it works fine on its own, so why would we ever add another product to it? Unless we want to use less of our Floetrol because it's so expensive, our Australian Floetrol. You could potentially substitute some of that with that Paint Easy stuff. So now here's the last experiment. And theoretically, what happened with the first painting I did in this video should happen on this triangle, you would think. However, it did not. And why is that? Well, here is why. Acrylic paint manufacturers use different acrylic bases for their products. Some paints just behave better with certain products than others do. And I shouldn't even use the word behave, perform, give us the effects we are looking for. So here is the first painting I did with the American Floetrol. There are hardly no cells, no lacing really to speak of. And again, it's all dependent on the brands that you use together along with the products. And that's why experimenting is so very important in this type of art. Now, this one here is the Australian Floetrol with the Paint Easy recipe, I believe. I forgot to mark the video to tell me which one. Let me see the other canvases first, and then I'll tell you if that was the Australian Floetrol. No, it was not. This one was the Australian Floetrol. That other one you just saw was the European Floetrol, the Owatrol. This one got a lot more lacing and cells than all three of the other ones. And here is the Paint Easy on its own. I mean, it looks nothing like that first painting. So, you know, again, experiment with your products. It worked really great using Artist Loft white acrylic paint versus Amsterdam. And, you know, I used a couple of simple Amsterdam colors, not the Winsor & Newton brand, which I'll tell you, I've used Winsor & Newton before, and I haven't gotten many cells with it. Just, you know, with my history of acrylic pouring, I've never really liked that brand for some reason, and that's probably why. But anyway, I'm going to let them develop. I'm going to let them dry and all that, and then I'm going to come back and talk to you about the final results. Alrighty, so here we are a few days later. Everything is dry. As you can see, I didn't get much out of that test using Winsor & Newton paints and that golden black heavy body paint. The golden, I think, really killed the experiment. Next week, however, I'm going to do a huge experiment. I'm going to take all of those pouring mediums that I made for this video, and I'm going to combine them all together to make one pouring medium, and we're going to see how that behaves. But anyway, let's go over these. So this one here was the Australian Floetrol plus the Paint Easy. So I'm going to just zoom over here. As you can see, the black is just, it dried really weird. And just also next week, I'll tell you, you're going to see how I zhuzh this up. So make sure you're subscribed and have the notification bell on. But anyway, so there is that one. Minimal lacing and cells. Over here, this was the Paint Easy on its own. And you see I got nothing. Isn't it crazy how certain paints behave differently when mixed with these ingredients? I'm telling you, just like that first painting I did in this video, which I will show you again, it's all about chemistry and how things are made, you know? And then this one here was the, I believe, Owatrol and Paint Easy. So we got minimal lacing and cells. Again, these kind of look like crap because there's no resin on them or anything, no varnish, anything. So they're not going to look their best. Plus, again, the effects weren't really there. I got this big black area that did nothing. Same here. And it's not even that it's cracked. It just looks like that. It's really, really weird. But anyway, here's the American Floetrol and Paint Easy recipe. And I got, you know, This right here is promising. I just really feel like the black held me back with this for some reason on all of them, because wherever the black isn't, you see that I got lacing and cells. So I'm pretty sure it was just the black. And this is a perfect example. I get a lot of emails from viewers that say, I tried to use exactly what you used for a pouring medium and it didn't work for me. And here's a perfect example. We have this first painting we did with different brand paints, and look how beautiful it came out. Then you come over here, and here is the same exact recipe right here, but with different brands of paints, and look at nothing. So this is a very, very good teaching opportunity for me, because again, I get a ton of emails asking me why their paintings are not turning out like mine. So when you see a video and you see an artist do a painting that you absolutely love, try to find out exactly what brand of paints they are using. A lot of times they will tell you during the video or in the description the brands and the colors, and try to use exactly what they're using. Even if you don't want to use these colors, just use those brands together. Like for this one, I used the Pebeo Iridescent Green Blue. I used Amsterdam Greenish Blue. I used a little of the Winsor Newton, I believe it was the Ultramarine Blue for this one. And then the Artist Loft White. And you see there's a totally different outcome. The big lesson is if you want to replicate something you see on YouTube, try to find out what they're using. That's the end of this video. It was a fun experiment. I want you to make sure you come back next Sunday, because again, not only am I going to test all of these products together, I'm going to also show you what I do to fix this baby up. All right? So thank you so very much for joining me. Please remember to click like and subscribe on the way out. Be sure to leave a comment. Share this video with anybody that you think might like acrylic pouring. And don't forget to check out the description for information on ways to follow me, discounts on products that I use like resin and paints, Pebeo paints. I got all kinds of discounts down there. And important information on upcoming acrylic pouring classes for beginners. I love you all. Thank you so very, very much for joining me. And until the next time, happy pouring.